Is it cheaper to buy or build a house? The answer may surprise you. When it comes to purchasing or building a home, many people assume that buying a house is the more cost-effective option. But is this true? In this video, we'll explore the advantages and disadvantages of both building and buying a home to determine which one is truly the more cost-effective choice. You might be surprised by what you learn. Watch on to find out more about whether it is cheaper to buy or build a house. Location. When it comes to deciding whether it's cheaper to buy or build a house, the most important factor is location. Building a home in an area with higher land values or prices can make it more expensive than simply buying a pre-existing home. In addition, building a house will require you to purchase the land on which to build the home. Depending on the location of the property and its accessibility, the cost of purchasing the land can vary dramatically. For example, rural areas often have cheaper land than urban areas, so if you plan to build a home in a rural area, the cost of the building may be significantly lower than in an urban area. The type of neighborhood and the quality of homes in the area are also factors that influence your decision to buy or build a house. If you build a home in an area with higher home values, your investment will likely appreciate more quickly than if you build a home in an area with lower home values. On the other hand, if you buy a home in an area with higher home values, you may pay more upfront, but will likely enjoy more appreciation over time. It's important to consider all these factors when deciding whether it's cheaper to buy or build a house. You may find that it's much more affordable to buy a house in an area with lower home values, or that building a house in an area with higher land values can provide better long-term returns on your investment. The cost of materials. When it comes to building your own home, one of the most important factors in the overall cost is the cost of materials. The type and quality of materials you use can make a significant difference in how much money you end up spending. Generally speaking, higher-end materials will cost more, but they may also last longer and be easier to maintain over the long term. For example, if you're building a single-family home, the cost of materials for basic construction can range from $150 to $250 per square foot. This includes things like framing lumber, siding, roofing, windows, insulation, and other basic components. In addition, you'll need to factor in the cost of things like fixtures, flooring, countertops, cabinets, and any other items you'll need to complete the project. Of course, there are also costs associated with things like plumbing, electrical wiring, and HVAC installation. It's also important to remember that you may need to pay for permits or inspection fees as well. All of these costs can add up quickly, so it's important to do your research and plan carefully when deciding on materials for your home build. The cost of labor. Labor costs make up a significant portion of the total cost of building a house. In general, the labor costs will vary depending on the size and complexity of the project, as well as the location of the home. Labor costs can range from 10% to 30% of the total construction costs, with an average around 15%. When hiring a contractor, it is important to compare quotes from different contractors to get the best possible price. It is also important to understand what services are included in the quote and if any additional labor or materials are required for the project. In addition to the cost of hiring contractors, you may need to hire subcontractors for certain tasks such as plumbing, electrical work, or HVAC installation. Depending on the complexity of the job, these costs can add up quickly. It is important to research the qualifications and experience of any subcontractors you are considering before signing a contract. It is also important to factor in the cost of permits and other fees related to your construction project. These fees vary greatly depending on the type and location of the project, so it is important to research them before committing to a budget. Finally, you should also consider the cost of insurance for your construction project. Insurance will help protect you from any unforeseen problems that may arise during the construction process. The time factor. When deciding whether to buy or build a house, the time factor is an important consideration. Building a home from scratch can take anywhere from 6 months to 2 years, depending on how complicated the project is. This includes obtaining permits, ordering materials, hiring contractors, and making sure everything is up to code. On the other hand, buying a house is typically much quicker. You can find a house in as little as a couple of weeks and close on it in less than a month. The amount of time and effort required for each option is a key factor to consider when deciding whether to buy or build a house. If you're looking for an immediate move-in date, buying a house may be the better choice for you. However, if you have the time and energy to commit to building your dream home, it may be worth the extra effort. The hidden costs. When it comes to buying or building a house, the obvious costs that come to mind are the materials, labor, and time associated with it. However, there are many hidden costs to consider when deciding between buying or building. First, there is the cost of professional services like architects, engineers, designers, and contractors. If you are building a house from scratch, these professionals will be necessary to help create plans and build the house. Their fees can be quite expensive and need to be factored into the total cost of your project. Second, you will also need to factor in the cost of permits. Most local governments require homeowners to acquire certain permits before they can build their house. The cost of these permits can range anywhere from several $100s to several $1,000s, depending on the size and complexity of the project. Third, you may need to pay for a surveyor to ensure the land you intend to build on is suitable. Surveyors charge an hourly fee, and this cost needs to be taken into consideration. Fourth, there are utility costs. These include the cost of running electricity, water, and sewer lines to your property, which can also be quite expensive. Finally, there are legal fees associated with transferring ownership of the land and filing for zoning approval. All of these fees can add up quickly and should be taken into account when deciding between buying or building a house. Conclusion. When deciding whether it's cheaper to buy or build a house, there is no single answer. It depends on a variety of factors, including location, materials, labor costs, and time constraints. Building a house may be more expensive up front, but could save you money in the long run if done correctly. On the other hand, buying a home can be less expensive upfront, but could be more costly over time due to maintenance and upkeep. Ultimately, both options have their advantages and disadvantages. It's up to the individual to weigh them and decide what's best for them. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.